Have you ever wondered why some people seem to live in a different reality, achieving levels of success that most can only dream of? Perhaps you believe they are luckier, smarter, or possess something you never will. But here's the controversial truth. What separates the top 0.01% from the rest is not innate talent, but principles they obsessively follow while the rest of the world overlooks them. And no, it's not about working yourself to exhaustion or winning the genetic lottery. These principles are counterintuitive, often challenging what we've been taught about success. They aren't easy to apply, but they have the power to transform your life if you're willing to change how you think and act. Imagine having a formula to overcome your challenges, maximize your time, create lasting value, and simultaneously find purpose and satisfaction. Sounds too good to be true, right? And that's exactly why so few succeed. In this guide, you will discover 21 principles that have guided the most successful people on the planet. They are not closely guarded secrets, but accessible tools that, once mastered, can redefine what you believe is possible. Are you ready to uncover what they know that you don't? Then keep reading, because this may be the missing piece to unlock your extraordinary journey. Being misunderstood is not a flaw, but a sign that you are on a unique path. Picture a sculptor chiseling away at a block of stone. While the final vision is clear in their mind, to others, it's just an amorphous block. It's common for those around you not to see your purpose, especially when your actions deviate from the expected. This is because most people interpret the world based on what they already know, and innovation, by definition, challenges those expectations. Remember, those who are admired for their success today were once seen as eccentric dreamers. Steve Jobs, for example, was labeled crazy before revolutionizing the world with the iPhone. The people close to you may judge your present by the failures of your past. This can be disconcerting, especially when it comes from those you love the most. But it's important to understand that this doesn't reflect malice. It reflects their difficulty in envisioning someone growing beyond their limitations. Consider this as an invitation to be resilient and prove, more to yourself than anyone else, that transformation is possible. Accepting being misunderstood is a step toward becoming stoic in the face of criticism and following your principles with courage. However, dealing with this misunderstanding can be a constant challenge. You need to develop a long-term mindset, where every criticism or lack of support is a step in your journey. Remember, to someone who doesn't know the plan, a single brick doesn't make sense, but in the hands of an architect, it's part of a cathedral. Ask yourself, how can I grow from this? Or, what is this discomfort trying to teach me? Often, the answers will come from within, not from outside. A good example of this is J.K. Rowling's story. Before Harry Potter took the world by storm, she received numerous rejections from publishers, many of whom didn't see value in her work. To her, it felt personal. Today, we see it was a matter of others' limited vision. Her stoicism was crucial in transforming challenges into lessons. You can apply this as well. Start by listing recurring criticisms, and ask yourself if they have something useful to teach or if they're just noise to be ignored. Often, success requires you to go against the grain. Those who only follow what is accepted don't create something revolutionary. Elon Musk faced criticism for betting on reusable rockets, something that seemed impossible to NASA. Today, SpaceX is synonymous with innovation and purpose. What does this mean for you? Perhaps it's time to stop seeking comfort in others' opinions and start trusting your vision more. This is not selfishness, but responsibility for your own journey. But be careful. Being misunderstood doesn't mean ignoring all criticism or advice. It means discerning what adds value and what merely distracts you. It's an ongoing practice that requires patience, gratitude, and purpose. After all, the greatest projects are those that are born in silence, mature in solitude, and explode in recognition when the time is right. This brings us to the next point. What if, instead of accepting the questions posed to you, you started asking better questions? The quality of your questions defines the quality of your answers and, consequently, your life. Often, we get stuck in dilemmas because we don't ask the right questions. Think about it. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? How about asking, how can I turn this into an opportunity? Great leaders and thinkers adopt this mindset, creating innovative solutions by challenging the obvious. Tony Robbins, for instance, teaches that powerful questions can change your emotional state in seconds. Why not try this in your next reflection? The secret to asking better questions lies in training your mind to seek practical, actionable answers. Use simple frameworks like the 1-3-1. Identify one central problem, explore 3 possible solutions, and choose one clear decision. This not only organizes your thinking, but also accelerates decision-making. For example, when facing a professional challenge, ask, what is the most urgent issue to resolve? What are the most viable alternatives? Which one will have the greatest impact in the least amount of time? This practice saves time and energy. Deep questions also help overcome mental blocks. One of the most powerful is, what am I pretending not to know? This phrase can unmask fears and excuses we use to sabotage ourselves. Imagine someone who complains about not having resources to start a business. If they ask themselves this, they might realize they are ignoring creative alternatives like partnerships or crowdfunding. And you? What are you pretending not to know about your current challenges? Another practical example is the habit of reviewing problems with a fresh perspective. Often the solution lies in the perspective. Ask yourself, what if the opposite of what I'm thinking is true? For instance, if you believe you need more money to start a project, question whether it's possible to start with less. Stories like that of Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, show that starting small but with creativity can be the first step towards success. Moreover, asking better questions improves relationships. Instead of accusing or complaining, ask, how can I help this person understand my point of view? Or, what can I do to improve our dynamic? This approach fosters empathy and collaborative solutions. Remember, even in business, smart questions transform negotiations. Think of Jeff Bezos, who revolutionized e-commerce by asking, how can we deliver more value with less effort for the customer? Powerful questions don't always need immediate answers. Sometimes they plant seeds that flourish over time. Set aside time to question yourself without haste. Write down your doubts and revisit them regularly. This creates a cycle of continuous learning and growth. Speaking of overcoming obstacles, how can you be creative and persistent even without all available resources? This leads us to the next principle. Not having all the resources isn't the end of the game. It's the beginning of creativity. When you don't have everything at your disposal, you are forced to think differently, leverage what you already have, and seek unconventional solutions. Elon Musk is a clear example. Before building rockets, he used Starlink to fund parts of his larger vision. This kind of strategy stems from a stoic mindset, where you view challenges as opportunities for learning and growth. What can you do today with what you already have? Being resourceful means learning to get the most out of the least. Imagine a young entrepreneur without a marketing budget. He decides to create free content and use social media to reach his target audience. The result? He builds a loyal following without spending a dime. This is the power of creativity in action. Think about how you can use what you already have, be it time, knowledge, or connections, to turn ideas into results. The lack of resources also forces you to be strategic. When every decision counts, you learn to prioritize what truly matters. For example, startups that start small are often more efficient because they need to measure every step. Airbnb began by renting out inflatable mattresses in an apartment, and today, it's one of the largest companies in the world. What does this teach you? That starting small isn't a problem but a competitive advantage. If you feel stuck because you don't have enough, it might be time to change the narrative. Ask yourself, what value can I generate with what I already have? It could be the knowledge you share, the network you've built, or even the skills that can be adapted to other contexts. Every small resource can be a building block for something greater if used with purpose and vision. And don't forget to find inspiration in real stories. People like Oprah Winfrey started with limited resources, but made smart choices to leverage their careers. You might not have all the resources right now, but you can acquire skills, form partnerships, or find alternative solutions. The most important thing is not to be paralyzed by lack, but to focus on what you can build. Being resourceful isn't just about solving personal problems. It's also about helping others. When you become a resource for your team, community, or clients, you create a cycle of reciprocity that attracts more opportunities. Speaking of reciprocity, the next step is to understand how giving value to the world can surprisingly bring more success to you. Giving before receiving isn't just a noble philosophy, it's a powerful strategy for building connections and lasting success. Think about it. Instead of waiting for the world to offer you something, Start by offering value first. This creates a natural cycle of reciprocity, where what you give tends to come back to you in abundance. A classic example is LinkedIn, where professionals share knowledge for free, strengthening their reputation and attracting opportunities. Imagine how your life would change if you started applying this mindset today. Reciprocity works not only in relationships but also in business. Successful companies are those that offer more than they sell. Take Amazon, for example. With programs like Prime and same-day delivery, it provides value before even charging for it. You can do the same, whether by sharing useful tips in your area of expertise, offering free mentorship, or simply being generous with your time. When you give, you plant seeds of growth that can bloom in unexpected ways. Giving is also a lesson in humility and learning. When you support someone, you open up space to learn from your own actions. Consider the practice of mentoring. By teaching, you solidify what you know and gain different perspectives in return. For instance, a leader who dedicates time to train their team often discovers more efficient ways to achieve results. What can you start sharing today that would benefit both you and others? This philosophy also applies during difficult times. Consider someone in rehabilitation, where simply helping a peer stay strong becomes a pillar for their own recovery. The same applies to professional life. When you contribute to someone else's success, you strengthen your own journey. The big realization here is that helping others is never a loss. It's an investment in collective success. However, giving doesn't mean ignoring your limits or sacrificing yourself unsustainably. Find a balance between generosity and self-care. The idea is to create genuine value without expecting something in return immediately. Surprisingly, it's precisely this lack of expectation that makes reciprocity work so effectively. When you give without reservations, you create a cycle of gratitude and purpose that returns to you in unexpected ways. And speaking of taking responsibility for what you create, the next step is to understand how taking full control of your life can be a game changer for achieving extraordinary results. Taking extreme ownership means accepting that ultimately, everything in your life is under your control, even when it seems otherwise. This doesn't mean blaming yourself for random events, but recognizing that you always have the power to choose how you respond to them. Jocko Willink, author of Extreme Ownership, teaches that by taking full control of circumstances, you place yourself in charge of your own journey. So ask yourself, what is within my reach to change today? The key to adopting this mindset is to stop looking for external blame. Instead of complaining about a difficult boss, ask, how can I adapt or improve this situation? Or, if the results of a project are not what you expected, question, what can I learn here that will prepare me better next time? This approach not only broadens your perspective, but also strengthens your sense of purpose and growth. Real-life examples demonstrate the power of this responsibility. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before inventing the electric light bulb. He could have blamed the circumstances, but he chose to embrace the learning as part of the process. Similarly, when faced with a challenging situation, you can create a simple habit. Write down 3 things you could have done differently. This shifts your perspective from that of a victim to a protagonist. Taking extreme responsibility also requires the humility to admit mistakes. It's not easy to acknowledge when we fail, but doing so is liberating. Imagine a leader who, instead of blaming the team for a problem, recognizes their own part and works to find a solution. This attitude not only strengthens their leadership but also inspires others to act in the same way. How can you lead by example today? This philosophy doesn't exclude gratitude. Rather, it amplifies it. By recognizing that you are responsible for what you have and for what you still want to achieve, you cultivate a sense of gratitude for the learning that each challenge provides. This creates a cycle of resilience, where every experience is a valuable lesson. Stoicism teaches that by taking responsibility for the outcomes, you regain the power to shape your destiny. Speaking of shaping destiny, there's a fundamental step to consolidate your learning. Transform what you know into practical actions and share this with the world. After all, learning, doing, and teaching are the pillars of true growth. Learning something new is the first step to becoming an expert. But true growth occurs in practical application. However, the cycle only completes when you teach what you've learned. Sharing knowledge isn't just an act of generosity. It's a powerful tool to solidify your understanding and inspire others. Think of the teachers who made the most impact on your life. They not only knew a lot, but knew how to convey that knowledge engagingly. How can you do the same with your own lessons? When you teach, you turn theory into living practice. Imagine a programmer who masters a coding language and begins teaching it. They not only help beginners grow, but also discover new ways to solve problems by reviewing the fundamentals. This dynamic of continuous learning is like a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it becomes. And you? What have you learned recently that you can share with someone today? This cycle of learning, doing, and teaching is one of the most effective ways to achieve exponential growth. Consider great leaders like Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr. They not only learned about justice but acted according to their principles and taught millions to do the same. You can apply this on a smaller scale. Start by teaching a colleague, mentoring a beginner, or even sharing insights on social media. Small acts of teaching can have a significant impact. The beauty of this process lies in how it broadens your perspective and expands your network. When you teach, you attract people with similar interests and create connections based on purpose and reciprocity. For example, imagine creating a blog or a YouTube channel where you share what you know. Over time, this can become not just a way to help others, but also a means to advance your own career. The key is to start small and be consistent. Teaching also requires humility because it places you in the role of an eternal learner. Sometimes, while teaching, you notice gaps in what you thought you knew, and this forces you to improve. This is one of the secrets of the best professionals in any field. They never stop learning. So, how can you apply this cycle in your life? Perhaps it's time to make a list of what you already excel in and think of creative ways to share that knowledge. Speaking of investing in what truly matters, the next step is to understand how to align your time and money priorities with what you truly value. After all, growth requires focus on the right choices. Your time and money are direct reflections of what you genuinely value. If you want to understand where your priorities lie, just look at your schedule and your bank account. Often we claim something is important, but our actions tell a different story. Therefore, investing in your priorities is an act of alignment between what you say you want and what you actually do. Ask yourself, does my routine reflect what I consider most important? If the answer is no, it might be time to recalibrate. Reevaluating your priorities isn't just about cutting expenses or reorganizing your schedule. It's about deciding what you want to build for the long term. Imagine a writer who wants to finish a book but spends more time on their phone than writing. They need to align their time with their bigger goal. For you, it might mean setting aside an hour each day to study something new, or adjusting your budget to save for a course or project that truly matters. Small changes can lead to huge impacts. Money is one of the most obvious resources that reveals your priorities. If you invest more in material possessions than in learning or personal growth, you may be trading long-term growth for immediate pleasures. Think about how Warren Buffett, one of the world's greatest investors, prioritizes reading and studying over spending on luxuries. It may not be about how much you earn, but how you use what you have. Where can you reallocate your resources for something more aligned with your purpose? Investing in priorities also means saying no to what doesn't add value. Many find it difficult to decline invitations or tasks that aren't aligned with their goals. However, every yes to something irrelevant is a no to what truly matters. Steve Jobs, for example, said that focus isn't just about what you choose to do, but also about what you choose to leave behind. What activities can you eliminate to create space for what really matters? The greatest benefit of investing in what matters is the exponential growth it generates. Imagine that you decide to invest in personal development, taking courses, reading books, or even hiring a mentor. Over time, these investments start to pay off as you become more skilled, confident, and efficient. Every step taken in this direction transforms you into someone with more resources and abilities to achieve your goals. And speaking of goals, the next step is to learn how to tackle bigger and more challenging problems, because the larger the problem you solve, the greater the impact you create. If you want a greater life, you need to be willing to face bigger problems. It's simple. Ordinary people solve simple problems, while extraordinary people confront complex challenges that impact the lives of many. Oprah Winfrey, for example, faced a billion-dollar lawsuit that tested her credibility. Instead of retreating, she used the situation as a testament to her resilience. You may not be facing multi-million-dollar lawsuits, but ask yourself, am I running away from problems or tackling the ones that truly make a difference? The logic is clear. The bigger the problem you solve, the greater the value you create for the world. Think of a doctor who saves lives every day. They carry the weight of difficult decisions, but it's precisely this responsibility that places them in a position of prestige and impact. The same goes for entrepreneurs, leaders, and innovators. Solving significant problems requires courage, creativity, and often sacrificing your comfort zone. So, what challenge have you been postponing because it seems too daunting? Facing bigger problems also requires a shift in how you perceive them. Instead of thinking, "This is too big for me," ask, "What do I need to learn to handle this?" Sometimes a problem seems insurmountable because you haven't yet acquired the right skills. Start small, but aim high. If you're building a business, for example, it might be time to consider how to serve a larger market or address more significant pain points for your customers. Think of this as training. The more problems you confront, the better prepared you become for the next ones. Elon Musk didn't start by launching rockets. He began with software. Each project, from PayPal to Tesla, represented a bigger challenge than the last, building his confidence and competence over time. You can apply this mindset by breaking down large challenges into smaller steps and tackling each one with focus and determination. Finally, solving bigger problems doesn't mean doing it alone. Often, facing something substantial requires forming a team, seeking partnerships, or even asking for help. Great leaders understand that real impact is a collective effort. Consider the most complex problem you're facing right now. Who can help you overcome it? It's about taking responsibility and seeking the right tools for success. Speaking of tools, the next step is to understand that in any situation, there's always a hidden lesson. Learning from your mistakes is what turns setbacks into stepping stones for growth. In life, you never truly lose. You either win or learn. This is the mindset that separates those who continuously grow from those who get stuck in patterns of frustration. Every failure, every setback, carries a valuable lesson, but you must be attentive to recognize it. Think of Thomas Edison, who said that every failed attempt was in fact a step closer to success. What could you learn from the mistakes you've been avoiding? Transforming setbacks into learning opportunities is a skill that can be developed. A practical way to start is by creating a habit of reviewing your day, asking, "What went wrong? Why? And what will I do differently tomorrow?" This isn't about self-punishment, but about growth. For example, if you missed a job opportunity, ask, "Was I really prepared? What can I improve for next time?" This honest analysis is what turns mistakes into lessons and lessons into growth. Great leaders and innovators share this pattern of viewing failure as part of success. Take the example of Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, who celebrated her failures as much as her successes. She said that every no she received was an opportunity to refine her approach. What if you started to celebrate your lessons in the same way? Perhaps it would be easier to take risks and challenge yourself, knowing that even falls hold value. Adopting this mindset also alleviates the burden of perfection. Often, we avoid taking action out of fear of failure, but the truth is that no one gets it right all the time. Even great athletes like Michael Jordan talk about the number of missed shots before they became legends. The secret is to keep trying, adjusting your course, and understanding that each mistake is just a piece of the larger puzzle. How can you begin to approach your mistakes with more ease? "Everything is a lesson" also means learning from others' experiences. Biographies, success stories, and even advice from mentors can save you from making the same mistakes. However, in the end, real learning comes from experience. Ask yourself, what is this situation trying to teach me? The answer may not be immediate, but over time, each lesson reveals itself and contributes to your journey. Speaking of journeys, the real magic happens when you step out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself to grow. It's in this discomfort that the deepest lessons are learned, leading us to the next point, the power of scaring yourself daily. Growth begins where your comfort zone ends. If you want to transform, you need to confront the discomfort of doing something that scares you every day. We're not talking about skydiving, unless that's on your agenda, but about taking risks that expand your capabilities. Think of someone deciding to speak in public for the first time. It's terrifying at first, but by the end, there's a sense of accomplishment. What scary challenge have you been avoiding? Scaring yourself daily doesn't mean seeking danger, but creating opportunities to push your limits. For instance, imagine starting a conversation with someone you admire, knowing you might be ignored, or taking on a project that feels bigger than you can manage. These moments of fear are springboards for confidence and creativity. Choose something small today that frightens you but aligns with your purpose. Trust that the reward will come. The secret is to make discomfort a habit. Athletes constantly challenge their physical limits. Think of someone training for an Ironman. Each workout confronts exhaustion, the fear of failure, and self-doubt. You don't need to run marathons, but you can face challenges like learning a new skill or having tough conversations. Ask yourself, what could I do today that makes me a little nervous but takes me closer to my goals? Moreover, confronting your fears increases your resilience. When you become accustomed to tackling challenging situations, future difficulties seem less daunting. Think of someone who starts by giving small presentations and, over time, masters the stage at large events. The same logic applies to your life. By exposing yourself to discomfort today, you become stronger tomorrow. And when it comes to sharing that strength with the world, there's an essential lesson. Be like a river, flowing and contributing, because it is in the act of giving that the greatest opportunities arise. Knowledge, ideas, and resources need to flow. Being like a river means sharing what you have, allowing opportunities to pass through you and return multiplied. When you hold everything to yourself, like a reservoir, it may seem safe at first, but soon everything stagnates. Consider leaders who transform their teams by openly sharing their strategies. This not only creates a growth environment, but also attracts reciprocity and partnerships that amplify impact. The act of sharing creates a cycle of abundance. For instance, companies like Google and HubSpot offer free tools that help millions of people. This gesture of giving without expecting attracts trust and loyalty, generating a constant flow of opportunities. And in your life, what kind of knowledge or skill can you start sharing today? It could be something simple, like teaching someone to use a tool or promoting an idea you've developed. Being like a river also strengthens human connections. When you share, you inspire others to do the same, creating a cycle of contribution. Imagine a team where everyone shares their best practices and learnings. Not only does the entire group grow stronger, but each individual flourishes together. You can start applying this at work or in personal projects. Make a list. What do I know that could help someone today? Then, share it authentically. On the other hand, being a reservoir generates isolation and limits your potential. By withholding information or resources, you miss the chance to create bonds and build something greater than yourself. Transparency is a bridge to collective success. Think about how a simple act of sharing insights can change a meeting, or even the direction of a company. You can test this by sharing your ideas with a colleague or by creating space for others to contribute theirs. Nature constantly teaches this lesson. A river flows, nourishes ecosystems, creates life, and moves on. Similarly, when you act with generosity, the impact goes far beyond what you can imagine. Your gestures can reach places you may never visit and benefit people you may never know. This is the power of being a river, allowing abundance to pass through you and transform the environment around you. Speaking of how to act to transform environments, there is a fundamental principle that strengthens relationships and builds more united teams. Praise publicly and criticize privately. One of the most effective ways to build trust and respect is by praising publicly and criticizing privately. Acknowledging someone's achievements in front of others reinforces that individual's value and inspires others to strive for the same level of excellence. Criticism, when done in private, protects self-esteem and shows respect. Think of a leader who praises their team in a meeting but addresses mistakes delicately in private. This approach not only keeps morale high, but also strengthens the culture of trust. Public praise is a powerful tool for motivation and engagement. Imagine a manager who values an employee's work during a presentation. This simple gesture not only improves the performance of the praised individual, but also shows the team that their efforts are recognized. Try this in your daily life. Instead of keeping good feedback to yourself, share it in a group or meeting. It's an investment that yields significant returns. Conversely, criticizing publicly can be extremely damaging. It exposes the person to embarrassment and often generates resentment rather than learning. When a correction needs to be made, choose a private moment and use a constructive approach. Ask, how can we improve this together? This shifts the dynamic from accusation to collaboration. A good example is the sandwich method. Start with a positive point, discuss what needs improvement, and finish with another positive aspect. This practice also strengthens personal relationships. At home, for example, praising your children or spouse in front of others creates an atmosphere of appreciation and love. Similarly, poorly delivered criticism can create emotional distance. Remember that the goal of any criticism is to promote growth, and that only happens when there is respect. How can you apply this approach in your relationships today? Praising publicly and criticizing privately is a form of leadership that inspires. Great leaders know that how they treat people in moments of praise and correction defines the quality of relationships in the long run. This philosophy also applies to clients, colleagues, and even strangers. Every interaction is an opportunity to leave someone better than you found them. And speaking of leaving people and projects better, there is a fundamental principle to leverage your results: mastering the 4 C's of leverage. True leverage in the modern world is built on 4 pillars: content, capital, code, and collaboration. These elements are the most powerful tools to multiply your impact and achieve results that once seemed unattainable. Imagine a company that masters these pillars. It uses content to attract customers, capital to expand operations, code to automate processes, and collaboration to scale efficiently. You can apply this logic to your personal, professional, or entrepreneurial life. Content is where it all begins. It attracts attention, builds trust, and establishes your authority. Think of creators like Gary Vaynerchuk, who leverage their careers by producing consistent, valuable content. Today, with social media and digital platforms, anyone can share knowledge, from a YouTube tutorial to posts on LinkedIn. What kind of content could you create to demonstrate your skills or attract opportunities? Start small, but start. Capital is the fuel that accelerates your projects. Here, we're not just talking about money, but also about how you manage your financial resources to maximize returns. If you already invest, think about how to redirect some of that capital to acquire knowledge or tools that will enhance your performance. If you haven't started investing, begin exploring options like stocks, real estate investment trusts, or even financial education. Every dollar wisely allocated is a step toward freedom of choice. Code is the magic of automation. In a world where time is a scarce resource, leveraging technology to optimize processes is a competitive advantage. Imagine a freelancer using tools like Trello and automations through Zapier to organize their tasks. By doing so, they save hours that can be dedicated to creating more value. What about you? Which repetitive tasks could you automate to free up your time? It's time to think like a programmer, even if you don't know how to code. Ultimately, collaboration is the element that ties everything together. No one achieves extraordinary results alone. Strategic partnerships and teamwork exponentially multiply your impact. Take Jeff Bezos as an example. He didn't build Amazon alone. He brought together brilliant minds to scale the company. Ask yourself, who can I collaborate with to amplify my results? Sometimes the connection you need is closer than you think. With the 4 C's, you not only multiply your efficiency, but also create a sustainable system to achieve your goals. Speaking of sustainable systems, the next step is mastering the most precious resource we have: time. Time is the only truly limited resource. Money, energy, and opportunities can be recovered, but lost time never comes back. Therefore, learning how to buy time is one of the most important skills you can develop. This means delegating tasks, using tools that optimize your day-to-day activities, and focusing on what truly generates value. Think of someone who hires a virtual assistant to handle administrative tasks while concentrating their energy on growth strategies. That's the power of leveraging time. Delegation is the key to buying time. Often, we insist on doing everything ourselves, believing that no one can do it better than we can. But this mindset limits your growth. Imagine an entrepreneur hiring an accountant to manage finances or a designer to create visual materials. Each delegated task frees up mental space to focus on what really matters. What tasks could you start delegating today? Technological tools are also valuable allies. Apps like Notion, Google Calendar, or automations via Zapier can transform your routine. For instance, automatically scheduling meetings or organizing your commitments visually can save hours over the month. Investing in technology is not an expense. It's a way to gain time to focus on your purpose. What processes can you optimize right now with a bit of creativity? Moreover, buying time is about prioritizing what yields the greatest return for your effort. Ask yourself, Does this task really need to be done by me? Does it contribute to my long-term goals? Great leaders and entrepreneurs like Richard Branson understand that the secret lies in focusing on the strategic and delegating the operational. Maybe it's time to review your agenda and identify what can be eliminated or redistributed. Finally, buying time isn't just about productivity, it's about quality of life. When you free yourself from trivial tasks, you create space to invest in learning, creativity, and even moments of rest. After all, the balance between work and leisure is crucial for sustainable performance. How can you start gaining time today without compromising your priorities? Speaking of projects and productivity, there's a rule that can revolutionize the way you approach any creative task: the 10-80-10 principle. The 10-80-10 rule is a simple yet incredibly powerful framework for executing creative projects efficiently and with quality. The idea is to divide the work into 3 phases: 10% of the time dedicated to ideation, 80% to execution, and 10% to refinement. This approach allows you to start with a clear vision, execute with focus, and finish with attention to detail. Think about how an architect designs a building. First, they define the idea, then construct the structure, and finally, take care of the finishing touches. It's a process you can apply in any area of your life. The first 10% is crucial for providing direction to the project. This is the time to think big, explore possibilities, and define objectives. Imagine you're creating an online course. Here you decide on the topic, the target audience, and the outcomes you wish to deliver. Tools like mind maps or brainstorming can be very helpful in this stage. Ask yourself, what is the essence of what I want to create? How can I simplify complexity? This is fertile ground for great ideas. The following 80% is all about execution. Here, the focus is on putting your hands to work, turning your vision into reality, and avoiding distractions. This is where consistency and discipline come into play. Returning to the example of the online course, this would be the stage of recording videos, writing supporting materials, and structuring the lessons. The secret is to maintain simplicity. Avoid changing direction constantly and trust the initial plan. If something feels challenging, remember that it's in execution that real growth happens. The final 10% is for refinement, where you transform the good into the excellent. In this phase, you adjust details, correct mistakes, and add final touches that elevate the quality of the result. In the case of the course, this would involve reviewing videos, enhancing the design of presentations, and testing the platform to ensure everything works perfectly. This extra care not only improves delivery, but also reflects your commitment to excellence. How can you refine the projects you are currently working on? The beauty of this rule lies in its simplicity. By dividing work into phases, you avoid analysis paralysis and the perfectionism that often hinders progress. Each stage has its purpose, and the balance among them is what makes the process efficient and effective. Try applying this principle to your next project, whether personal or professional, and see how it transforms the way you work. And when it comes to transformation, there's a mindset that can exponentially multiply your results. The 10x mindset. The 10x mindset isn't about working 10 times harder, but thinking 10 times bigger. It challenges you to question linear processes and seek exponential solutions. Grant Cardone, author of the 10x rule, teaches that grand objectives force you to rethink your approach, attract the best talent, and unlock your creativity. So, ask yourself, if I had to achieve results 10 times greater, how would I do it? This kind of thinking can completely change the way you face your challenges. The first step to adopting the 10x mindset is to challenge the status quo. Often we are so accustomed to solving problems incrementally that we forget to question whether there is a completely new way to do things. Think about how Uber transformed transportation or how Tesla reinvented the automotive industry. What about you? What area of your life or work could be transformed if you thought of out-of-the-box solutions? The 10x mindset also requires you to prioritize impact. It's not about doing more tasks, but about focusing on the activities that truly create value. For example, an entrepreneur looking to grow their company needs to concentrate on scalable growth strategies, such as automation, digital marketing, or strategic partnerships, rather than getting bogged down in operational tasks. Where is the greatest potential for impact in what you do today? Focus there. Another key element is attracting the right people. Big goals inspire great talent. If you have an ambitious vision, you are likely to attract people who also want to do something meaningful. This is why companies with audacious purposes, like SpaceX or Google, can gather the brightest minds. How can you communicate your vision in a way that inspires others to join your cause? Great ideas never flourish alone. The 10X mindset is a commitment to continuous learning and innovation. As you aim high, you will inevitably encounter obstacles. But each challenge is an opportunity to develop new skills and explore creative approaches. Adopting this mindset is not just about achieving extraordinary results, but also about becoming the person capable of achieving them. What would be the first step for you to apply the 10X thinking today? Speaking of achieving extraordinary results, there is an element that is often underestimated, but can make all the difference: luck, which can actually be built on 4 levels. Luck is not purely random. It can be cultivated and increased over time. There are 4 levels of luck, and the higher you go, the more controllable it becomes. The first level is blind and deaf luck, which simply happens without any influence from you. The second level is luck created by your willingness to act. The more you expose yourself, the greater the chances of something good happening. Think of someone who connects with many people at events and by chance meets a mentor or business partner. The third level is luck cultivated through preparation and skills. Here, you create an environment where luck can thrive. Imagine an investor who constantly studies the market and recognizes an opportunity before others. They are in the right place at the right time, but not by chance. It's a result of their competence. Ask yourself, how can I better prepare myself to recognize and seize opportunities when they arise? The fourth and most advanced level of luck is when you become a magnetic force for opportunities. This happens when your excellence and reputation are so strong that opportunities come to you. Think about how renowned artists like Beyoncé attract proposals and collaborations without needing to seek them out actively. This is luck created by an extreme level of competence, consistency, and contribution over time. Are you investing in something that could take you to that level? Higher levels of luck require strategy, not passivity. For instance, if you want to attract better career opportunities, you need to invest in networking, share your achievements, and position yourself as a problem solver. Similarly, if you desire luck in entrepreneurship, you should build something that offers exceptional value to the market. Luck favors the prepared, as the saying goes, but it also favors the bold. Understanding the levels of luck transforms your perspective on success. You realize that the higher the level, the less you depend on chance and the more on the choices you make. Building luck is about creating an environment where opportunities flow to you, whether provoked by action, skill, or reputation. And as you balance this pursuit of luck, it's essential to cultivate an attitude of gratitude for the present, while keeping an eye on your ambition for the future. The art of being happily dissatisfied. Balancing gratitude for the present with ambition for the future is an art that few master. Being happily dissatisfied means appreciating what you have today while still holding the desire for more. It's not ingratitude, but a recognition of your untapped potential. Think of great athletes like Cristiano Ronaldo. He celebrates each victory, but never rests on his laurels. How can you celebrate your achievements while planning your next step? Gratitude for the present is crucial for maintaining a positive and focused mindset. When you acknowledge the value of what you've already accomplished, you create a state of energy that attracts further achievements. Try starting your day by listing 3 things you are grateful for, such as health, friends, or opportunities. However, gratitude should not become an excuse for stagnation. Ask yourself, what more am I capable of achieving with what I have already built? Dissatisfaction, on the other hand, is the fuel for growth. It drives you to seek more, learn more, and reach higher levels of achievement. However, dissatisfaction should be healthy, not toxic. Instead of focusing on what is lacking, concentrate on what you can create. For example, if you want to improve your career, invest in courses, read books related to your field, or seek mentors who can accelerate your progress. Small, consistent actions lead to significant changes. Being happily dissatisfied also means accepting that the process is as important as the outcome. Many people become frustrated because they place all their happiness in the somewhere down the line future, forgetting that the journey is where the magic happens. Imagine an entrepreneur who appreciates each customer gained, even while working to double their revenue. This balance between present and future transforms ambition into purpose. Adopting this mindset creates a cycle of sustainable growth. Gratitude for the present keeps your energy high, while healthy dissatisfaction maintains your clarity of vision. Ask yourself, what more do I want to achieve, and how can I start working on that today? And as you transform your life with this mindset, true success lies in how you impact the lives of others, which leads us to the next principle, doing for others. True success is not measured solely by what you achieve, but by the impact you create in the lives of others. When you place the needs of those around you, clients, team members, community, at the center of your actions, you create a cycle of contribution and reciprocity. Consider entrepreneurs like Muhammad Yunus, creator of microcredit. He built a solution to help the less fortunate and, as a result, transformed entire economies. And you? How can your actions benefit not only yourself but also the world around you? Doing for others doesn't mean neglecting your own ambitions. Rather, it aligns your goals with something greater. When you ask yourself, how can I add value to someone's life today? You automatically begin to think of solutions that create genuine impact. A practical example could be helping a colleague solve a problem or sharing your knowledge with someone just starting out. Small acts of generosity create significant waves of change. This mindset is also powerful in business. Companies that prioritize customers above all else are more likely to succeed. Take the example of Zappos, known for its exceptional customer service. Putting people's needs first fosters loyalty, trust, and enduring partnerships. In your life, how can you adopt this principle? Perhaps by listening more, offering help without expecting immediate returns, or simply being present for those in need. The act of doing for others also generates a profound sense of purpose. There's no better feeling than knowing you made a difference, no matter how small. Imagine dedicating part of your time to volunteer work or mentorship. These experiences not only enrich the lives of those you help, but they also expand your own perspective and gratitude. Ask yourself, who could benefit from my help today? Doing for others is a pathway to collective success. When you act with generosity, those around you tend to reciprocate, creating an environment where everyone grows together. This is a sustainable way to build a career, a business, or even a legacy. Speaking of legacy, the key lies in thinking beyond the immediate and visualizing the impact of your actions in the long run, leading us to the next principle. Think in decades, not days. The greatest achievements don't happen overnight. Thinking in decades rather than days is to adopt a long-term perspective that values consistency and patience. While many seek quick results, those who truly transform their lives understand that sustainable growth takes time. Consider investors like Warren Buffett, who built his fortune with a simple strategy: invest consistently and let time work its magic. Are you willing to plant today to reap rewards in 10 years? Thinking long-term also means aligning your actions with your greater purpose. Ask yourself, what do I want to build for the future? Whether it's a business, a skill, or even a relationship, the secret lies in taking small daily steps that over time create exponential results. Imagine someone dedicating 30 minutes a day to learning a new language. It may seem small, but in a decade, that person will have mastered a valuable skill. What could you start today that would make a massive difference in the future? The long term isn't just about time, it's about vision. Companies like Amazon became giants because Jeff Bezos was willing to sacrifice immediate profits for sustainable growth. This decades-long vision gave the company a solid foundation to weather crises and lead markets. Think about it. What decisions could you make today that might not yield immediate returns, but will be crucial for your future success? Adopting this mindset also helps you deal better with setbacks. When you think in decades, you understand that a mistake or failure is merely a chapter in your story, not the entire book. This reduces pressure and increases resilience. For example, someone investing for retirement knows that a market downturn isn't a reason to give up, but an opportunity to reinforce their strategy. How can you begin to see challenges as part of a larger journey? Thinking in decades brings freedom. Freedom to be patient, to experiment, and to grow at your own pace. When you stop seeking immediate results, you begin to value the process and build something that truly matters. Ultimately, you realize that the destination is just a detail, as true success lies in appreciating each step of the journey, which brings us to the final principle. There's no place to arrive. True fulfillment isn't about crossing the finish line. It's about learning to enjoy the race. Living as if there's a final destination to reach is one of life's greatest misconceptions. There isn't a fixed point where you will be complete or perfect. The magic happens along the way, in the process of growth, learning, and contribution. Think of a climber. Reaching the summit is a brief moment, but the real significance lies in the journey to get there. In your life, how can you savor the present while working towards your goals? This mindset helps relieve the pressure of seeking external validation. Often, we live as if happiness lies in the next promotion, the next car, or the next achievement. But when we get there, we realize the emptiness remains. This happens because genuine happiness doesn't come from what you achieve, but from how you live while achieving it. How about redefining your days, focusing less on the destination and more on the purpose behind each action? Learning to enjoy the journey also allows you to celebrate small victories along the way. Imagine a student who spends years focused solely on the diploma, missing out on the experiences that arise during their course. When they finally graduate, they realize they lost opportunities for learning and connection. Instead, why not celebrate each progress? Every step is a chance for gratitude, learning, and growth. There's no fixed place to arrive because life is a continuous cycle of evolution. Even when you achieve a goal, there will always be something new to pursue. This doesn't imply dissatisfaction, but curiosity and passion for what comes next. Think of someone like Richard Branson, who, after creating several successful companies, continues to explore new projects. He doesn't see success as a destination, but as a way of life. And you? How can you make your journey as rewarding as the final goal? Understanding that there's no fixed place to arrive frees you from the shackles of comparison and perfectionism. Each person has a unique path, and what matters is being aligned with your own values. When you liberate yourself from this endless race, you begin to find satisfaction in the here and now. Because in the end, what truly matters is the journey you create and the impact you leave along the way. This guide is just the beginning of your transformation. You now have in hand the 21 principles that differentiate the brightest, most productive, and successful minds in the world. But here's a hard truth. Knowledge without action changes nothing. So what are you going to do with everything you've just learned? What concrete steps can you take today to step out of your comfort zone and start building the future you desire? Remember, the biggest results come from small, consistent actions. Maybe it's adopting a new habit, reassessing your priorities, or simply asking that difficult question you've been putting off. But do something, because the difference between those who grow and those who stagnate is the willingness to apply what they've learned. Success is reserved for those who not only dream, but also take action. And now you have the opportunity to act. So I'd like to invite you. Share with me in the comments which of the 21 principles impacted you the most, and how you plan to put it into practice. Your next step starts here and now. Oh, and don't forget, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay updated with content that can transform your life. Let's embark on this journey of growth together.